What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another episode of Chicago Bulls Weekly. Now, whether this is a lucky thing or a not so lucky thing, we don't have that many episodes of Chicago Bulls Weekly to go, because whether we like it or not, our season is heading towards an end. And if we make the playoffs, great. If we don't make the playoffs, well, that's obviously a very big disappointment, and we're going to find all that out very, very soon. But this week for the Bulls was a rather disappointing one, and we'll discuss everything about it in this video, while also discussing the future weeks ahead. But before we get any further, if you enjoyed the video and you'd like to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Bulls, obviously their previous week and their upcoming week ahead. Now, 3 games the Chicago Bulls had this week. We ended up going 1-2. So once again, back to that negative week that we didn't want to see. And I'm not going to lie, the games that we had today, the games that we had over the course of the week, my apologies, extremely wasted opportunities here. And the first one did end up coming against the Washington Wizards, where we lost this game 107 to 105. Losing to one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference when you have everything on the line is quite embarrassing, to be honest. And that's kind of how I felt throughout the game. Very frustrated and stuff of that nature. But again, the work ethic was just night and day between the Wizards and the Bulls. I think the Bulls stayed in this game purely because they had guys that could make shots. But the Wizards wanted to win more, worked harder for the win. They went on a 3-game winning streak because of that game. And the Bulls continued their losing streak and they extended it to 3 games from that game. There's really not much else to be said. Well, truly disappointed. Massively frustrating game to watch. Then we turn to the Indiana Pacers game, and all of a sudden the Bulls come alive again. They see a 3-game losing streak and they just decide to go insane. They verse the Indiana Pacers, and we have one of our best performances of the season as we beat the Pacers 125 to 99. It's crazy how much good defense and offense can change a game. Now, we don't often see both of them in the same game. We don't see the Bulls swarming defensively, getting stops left, right, and center, forcing the Pacers to have off shooting nights, and then we go and have stellar shooting nights of our own. We don't see that very often from this Bulls team, but today, or that game against the Pacers, my apology, was a day in which we saw that. And it's a rarity. It's games that you got to enjoy when they come, because they don't come very often, and that is as simple as it gets. Then we verse the Brooklyn Nets, an injury-riddled Brooklyn Nets team, but Brooklyn seem to have our number as they sweep the season series against the Bulls, beating us comfortably in this timeout, 125 to 108. 3-point shooting, that's the key, in my opinion, in this loss to the Brooklyn Nets. They just absolutely erupted from the 3-point line, kicking us when we were down, making ridiculously tough shots, and once we gave them open threes, pretty much everything started to fall for the Brooklyn Nets, and they just stormed away with a victory. And again, Brooklyn had something to fight for. Clearly, they still want to try and make the play-in tournament. At least that's how I view it. Even though there's a slim chance, they played like their life depended on it, and the Bulls simply did not. And that is the frustrating part of that game against Brooklyn. So disappointing. Again, when we're talking about no room for error, when we're talking about the Bulls have to deliver, the Bulls have to perform, in these types of weeks, we have seen 2 straight negative weeks for the Bulls. And at the end of the day, that is not a team that's delivering. That's not a team that really wants it. But again, actions speak louder than words. You can say the Bulls won it. DeRozan has said the Bulls won it. I'm kind of going on a tangent from the last video here, but the actions now have to show it. And with that being said, we must turn to the awards given this week. Now, the awards that we usually give: Most Improved of the Week, Sixth Man of the Week, Defensive Player of the Week, and Player of the Week in general. And I actually find this week rather interesting, to say the least. So without further ado, we shall get started with the first award. The Must Improve award is still going to go to the whole team. Last week, Bulls Weekly, I mentioned the defensive effort and how it's a team effort that's really dragging us down on the defensive end. How it can't just be one guy, and we say if that one guy played better defense, all of a sudden things turn around for us. When we give up 125 points to the Brooklyn Nets and we lose to the Wizards and stuff of that nature, and you look at the defensive end and how bad it is, I can't look at one player and pick them out for the for the must improve or anything like that. So I'm still going to give it to the whole team. I think the whole team deserves it. Again, team defense has gone downhill recently, and it's not a nice feeling. We need to step it up big time. I'm glad we had the game that we had against the Pacers, but that is an outlier over the last 2 weeks, and we need to see that be the consistent going forward. Speaking of the defensive player of the week, last week I didn't give one. This week I will give one. It will be Alex Caruso. Again, swarming on the defensive end, left, right, and center, giving his life and body on the line for this Bulls team on the defensive end. Again, you can see the hustle play. I feel sorry for him in many ways because what he doesn't get replicated enough from other guys. And Alex Caruso is the type of defender where it seems like it's pure hard work over anything. And I feel like there's a lot of players on this team that can give a little bit of extra effort on the defensive end. I'm not going to name names, but you guys know who I'm talking about. You guys know the one that doesn't necessarily try that hard on the defensive end. Or the multiple people, I should say. So that it's as simple as it gets in that regard as well. We turn to the sixth man of the week, and I'm going to target out, why not, the returning Javonte Green. Now, Andre Drummond is also a candidate for this. I think he's had a tremendous week overall, but Javonte Green's plus-minus is an absolute phenomenon. It's a dominant thing right now for the Bulls. And in a team where we're sorely lacking in depth, sorely lacking in bench production, seeing Javonte Green produce in the way that he has in the only 2 games that he's played for the Bulls is quite impressive. It makes me miss, obviously, the production we could have had with Javonte Green, and I'm happy that he's here, and we'll wait and see what ends up happening in the future. But I'm very happy that Javonte Green can get an award this year for the Chicago Bulls. Who would have ever thought that Javonte Green would ever get any type of award for the Bulls again? This season, he managed to get one. Congratulations to him. And then the player of the week goes to DeMar DeRozan. I think efficiency-wise, he's been okay, but he's been the guy to take us out of some really difficult situations. I think in a team where we've seen a lot of inefficiency, we've seen a lot of guys inconsistently help DeMar DeRozan. He's been the consistent in that way, and that's why I give him the Player of the Week award. But there's no more messing around, ladies and gentlemen. We've got no more time to mess around here. We've got a couple of games this week that we have to look forward to, with the first one being against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, just to give a little bit of an injury update for this game, because in all fairness, I'm probably not going to do an injury update for that video. I'm pretty sure there's some things going on with the Minnesota Timberwolves that could potentially tip the game in our favor. I think there's some questionable guys. For example, I'm pretty sure Anthony Edwards is questionable in that game. And I also feel Rudy Gobert is questionable in that game as well. Karl-Anthony Towns is listed as out. Will be reevaluated in 4 weeks. That was on March 12th. So that's right about playoff time is when he's about to return. And you also got Jaylen Clark and Jordan McLaughlin. Jaylen Clark is out. Jordan McLaughlin listed as questionable. There's a lot of guys that could potentially miss that game against the Timberwolves. That could tip the odds in our favor. Where for the Bulls, I'm pretty sure it's still Caruso and Ayo that's listed as probable and questionable. So wait and see how that goes. We got the next game after that one against the Atlanta Hawks. Talk about a big game, ladies and gentlemen. Atlanta, still the 10th seed, but very, very close on the heels of the Chicago Bulls. Home court advantage is on the line in this game. Yes, if we finish this the same record as the Hawks, we need to win the season series, and I think this game can allow us to do such a thing. But at the end of the day, getting to the 9th seed and getting home court advantage has to be a priority for the Bulls. Would I like to catch the 8th seed? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I do not think it's going to happen. So staying in the 9th seed has to be our priority at this point in time. Judging by the fact that we got the Timberwolves beforehand, that is going to be one nightmare of a run, ladies and gentlemen. Keep in mind, this is also a back-to-back. So we're going to be versing the Atlanta Hawks in a must-win game on the second night of a back-to-back after versing one of the top-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves team, even if it is without some of their key guys. So be on the lookout for that. It will not be an easy test. Then we got the last game of the week. That will be against the New York Knicks. New York playing really solid. They're the 4th seed at the moment. You got the Magic and the Pacers hot on their heels. But the Knicks are a very good team when they're all healthy. It's just a matter of which team is going to show up for the New York Knicks. Brunson recently had an amazing game, but I think they did lose to San Antonio in that timeout. So we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be an interesting week for the Chicago Bulls, a week where we have to deliver no matter the circumstances and no matter the teams that we actually face. It's down to us now, not everybody else. It's time to fix our performances, and we'll reflect on the other teams once we get around to it. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. Drop a like and a follow and or subscribe if you are new. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.